Chapter 4473. Tan Xiaoting knew very well. Today, the three of them are caught up, and there is a high probability that it will be difficult to escape, unless his young master, or Hufian, the deputy commander of Yantian army, is willing to take out the trump card given by the strongest and force the group of people in front of him, and then take him away. It's just that the cards given by the strongest are basically life-saving means. When these people are only targeting themselves, would his young master and deputy military leader really want to use it for him? It's not that he feels that his young master and deputy army master are not righteous, but even if he is standing in the position of two people, it is impossible to use such means to shelter a less important person. Tan Xiaoting still knows his own position in the eyes of the two around him. Moreover, he also felt that not long ago his young master was willing to protect him in such a situation. He had done his best to do his best. Even if he gave up on him this time, he could hardly complain. It seems that we have been tracked all the way to this point. Hufian narrowed his eyes, and a cold light flashed between his eyes. This Zhongyu, and that Lung Jing, I think that Miss Ling Hu is not easy to provoke, so I can't provoke it? Although Hufian has a good impression of Ling Huyindi, it does not mean that others can look down on Gao Ling Huyindi while at the same time, and she also feels that she is not inferior to Ling Huyindi. Although Ling Huyindi's strength is beyond her reach, her age is at least a few thousand years younger than Ling Huyindi. She didn't think that after thousands of years, she would still be inferior to Ling Huyindi now. Being a strong female is indispensable for comparison. Now, seeing Zhongyu and Lung Jun making a comeback, Hufian was completely angry. As for Duan Lingtian, he had already stood up, his gaze toward the front became colder, and he was also muttering something. At this moment, only Duan Lingtian himself can know what he is whispering. While whispering, Duan Lingshan's eyes were sharply bright, as if the hunter had finally found his favorite prey after searching for many days. Young master, vice army chief, who, if there is really no way, you, please hand me over. Tan Xiaoting sighed and said, presumably as long as you hand me over, they won't do anything to you again. At this moment, Tan Xiaoting was not trying to retreat, but really felt that there was no need to conflict with those in front of him, as long as he pushed himself out to solve the problem. Thinking about it, it is impossible for the other party to really tear his face with his young master and Hufian, the deputy commander of the Yantian army. However, neither Hufian nor Duan Lingtian ignored Tan Xiaoting. Since everyone is here, let's go out and meet them. Before Duan Lingtian spoke indifferently, Feng Suyufeng had already walked out of the whole person, and in a blink of an eye he flew out of the Divine Weapon spaceship, came to the front of the Divine Weapon spacecraft, and confronted a dozen people blocking the road. And Hufian followed out afterwards. Tan Xiaoting, even though he was reluctant to come out in his heart, he knew that no matter if he couldn't come out, the ending would be the same, so he still followed. At this time, even though he was still alive, he believed in his heart that he was dead this time, desperate to the extreme, and his thoughts were ashamed. Zhongyu, what do you mean? Hufian and Duan Lingtan stood side by side, with beautiful eyes, but at this moment Dawson's cold light burst out. Before, didn't you leave happily? Why? Miss Linghu is not by your side, so you think him Hufian to deceive? Hufian was really angry at this time. This Zhong, you obviously didn't put her in his eyes. Faced with Hufian, who was so angry like a tigress, Zhongyu hadn't spoken yet, but Lung Jing on the side was the first to speak. Deputy Army Master Hu, you are the deputy commander of the Yantian Army, the Yantian Army military doctrine, who dares to deceive? You. We are here only to kill junior brother Zhongyu. As for you and this friend by your side, we will never hurt you a bit. Lung Jing's tone was very gentle, revealing friendliness. Humph! Hufian snorted coldly. Today, as long as Hufian is here, don't you want to move him? When the words fell, Hufian's body, the power of the magical power, was already turbulent and even the robes on his body were blown by the strong wind and hunted. At this moment, her pair of eyes burst into a strong fighting spirit. "Zhongyu, how about today's matter? You and I will solve it in one battle." Hu Fian spoke again. His tone was soothing and ear-splitting. "As long as you are within 100 moves, let me fall into the wind. People, I will no longer shelter. If you can't do it, how about you take your people and retreat?" As soon as Hu Fian spoke, he stated that he was going to fight Zhongyu, using her fight with Zhongyu to understand what was at hand. In fact, as early as when he saw Zhongyu and learned Zhongyu's identity, Hu Fian became wary and wanted to fight the opponent. However, because of Ling Hu Yunda's intervention, her wish could not be fulfilled. She still has a certain understanding of Zhongyu, thinking that she is definitely not weaker than the other party. Within 100 moves, the other party will never let her fall into the wrong place. Tan Xiuting, who originally thought he was going to die, heard Hu Fian's words, and a ray of hope suddenly appeared in his eyes. At the same time, he looked at Hu Fian with a little more gratefulness. Although Hu Fian mentioned the gambling appointment, she may not be able to win, but at least there is hope. And Duan Lingtian, when he heard Hu Fian's words, still had a calm face and could not see any emotions. In fact, he did not have any emotions either. Tan Xiuting, during the performance of the Sky Blood Oath, is his person and has nothing to do with Hu Fian. Hu Fian's willingness to protect Tan Xiuting is a passion, but his unwillingness to keep it is his duty. He respects Hu Fian's choice and will not do this. Dissatisfied, therefore, when Hu Fian said this, he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. He will protect his people. Laugh. Zhongyu, who had been preempted by Lung Jing to speak before, could not help but laugh after hearing what Hu Fian said. "Hu Fian, give face to Hus Army Master. Call you Lieutenant Commander Hu. You are really real. I thought this is Yantian Army Hu Fian sight. The current situation, but I am strong and you are weak. Why do I promise you such a self-assertive condition?" When the voice fell, Zhongyu raised his hand and waved forward. Lung Jing, you and the elder Zhongming and the three of them stopped them, and the black magic guards dispersed and disturbed the surrounding space and prevented them from teleporting. "I personally sent this guy who killed my junior brother on the road." At the same time as the words fell, Zhongyu's eyes full of killing intent also instantly shifted to Tan Xiuting, who was standing behind Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian. Chapter 4474. Zhongyu opened his mouth, bluntly and ordered, as if he had already figured out how to deal with the three of Duan Lingtian. He chose to contain Hu Fian. Because Hu Fian has a good background, I really want to push Hu Fian. Hu Fian can take out her adoptive father as the most powerful Yantian army leader who does not return to the life-saving means. Then he will not be able to save Hu Fian. There is a high probability that you will also use the life-saving means given by your ancestors. He wouldn't do something that is not worth the loss. Moreover, he also concluded, as long as Hu Fian is not attacked, it is impossible for Hu Fian to use the life-saving means given by her adoptive father for the sake of a subordinate. As for the young man next to Hu Fian, who was also the one who killed his junior and chased after him, so that Hu Fian could treat each other like that, there is a high probability that he was also a distinguished person with a good background. This kind of person has a high probability of having life-saving means given by the strongest. Plus, Hu Fian might protect him. Therefore, he does not intend to move this young man. As for the person who killed his junior and his younger brother, he doesn't care. Even if you have a good background, there are strong people behind you. But these I have Zhongyu too. It's normal for your servant to kill my junior and kill someone for his life, right? If you want me to persuade me, it's not impossible. As long as the strongest behind you is stronger than the one behind me, I will swallow that breath and dare not raise revenge anymore. If it is not stronger than the one behind me, then you can only surrender his life. As the young patriarch of the Zhong clan in Taidi, Zhongyu also has his own pride and cannot easily bow his head. Earlier, Linghu Yindi threatened to protect others. He was not as strong as Linghu Yindi, and his background was not as strong as Linghu Yindi's background. So he gave in front of Linghu Yindi. Hu Fian is not enough to make him give in. As for the youth around Hu Fian, he still doesn't know the origin, and his background may not be stronger than his. Why did he give in? If you want me to back down, just show your background over my tidy Zhong clan. Do it! Following Zhong Yu's cold cry, Lung Jing beside him, as well as the 3 powerful members of the Zhong clan behind him who were close to the invincible upper gods, set out one after another to kill Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian. The other 10 black dark guards in the mouth of Zhong Yu, who were slightly weaker, spread out and crossed each other, making all their moves, disturbing the surrounding space. Obviously, Zhong Yu knew that Hu Fian was good at the laws of space. He didn't want Hu Fian to take people away. After practicing the law of space to the realm of small perfection, it is enough to take people to teleport. Although only one person can be taken away, he is worried that the other person is taking away the person he wants to kill. In addition, the young man whose temperament is obviously insufficient and whose background is most likely not under Hu Fian, he may not be able to kill, nor may he dare to kill. Enter my space artifact. Seeing the 4 powerhouses coming together, Zhong Yu's eyes locked on Tan Xiaoting. When Tan Xiaotang's face was desperate and all his thoughts were grayed out, a sound like a natural sound came into his ears again. Master! Tan Xiaotang's heart was shocked, and he never thought that, at this time, this young master actually planned to protect him. You know, the current situation is not optimistic. The opponent's strength obviously has to surpass his own side. It's okay if oneself can have the upper hand, but if it can't, in the end, you can only use the means given by the strongest, and even call out the projection of the strongest deity. However, his own side has this method. As the young patriarch Zhong Yu of the Tailing Zhong clan in the Pingxiong realm, will he? Moreover, beside Zhong Yu, there was a Lungjing from the Frozen clan. Come! Although not the young patriarch of the Lung clan, he is also a peerless genius of the Lung clan, the strongest of the Lung clan, and he definitely has the means to save his life, including the projection of the deity. At the end, if both sides call out the projection of the Xion's deity, then it is a confrontation at the Xion's level. At that time, it's up to the Xion who has the harder fist. Even if the 2 sides are evenly matched, he Tan Xiaoting will die out of 10. If you don't want to die, you can only hope that the Xion on your side will be stronger. Hurry up! Duan Lingtian said impatiently, urging Tan Xiaoting to enter the space artifact he took out. Once the battle started, he would not be able to take care of Tan Xiaoting. Hu Fian on the side was also a little surprised to see Duan Lingtian doing this. Obviously, he didn't expect him to make such a choice. In this case, we must protect Tan Xiaoting. Could it be that he is so confident about the strong man behind him? In Hu Fian's eyes, the situation in front of him was just like what Tan Xiaoting saw. In the end, it must be a confrontation between the strongest. Hu Fian didn't think that he and this young man named Li Feng could contend with the existence of 5 high-ranking gods, including Zhong Yu and Lung Jing, who were close to invincible in strength. Even with Zhong Yu alone, she was not completely sure to gain the upper hand. Good, very good. And Zhong Yu obviously did not expect the young people around Hu Fian to do this. I want to see who is the strongest behind you. Regardless of whether it is a place outside the world or the world, the strongest people are not unknown generations, because the rise of a strong person requires many opportunities. And many opportunities need to be contended. The same is true for the strongest. The Xions are superior in their eyes, and they are even more mysterious and unpredictable in the eyes of most people. But in fact, the Xions are essentially no different from them. The strongest are also pursuing continuous improvement. The strongest people are all the existences that rely on their own strength to break out of the siege, such as the strongest of their Tailingzhong clan, whose reputation is so great that they spread all over the world, even thousands of people. Boundary. And that day, the half-step world veteran of the Linghu family, don't have to say more. Half-step Jiezun is the most powerful existence under Jiezun strong. Jiezun cannot come out. Half-step Jiezun is the respect. I hope you don't regret it. Zhongyu shouted angrily, and then set off, and Leng Jing joined forces to kill Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian. At the same time he coldly shouted, Hu Fian, your friend, is crazy. I persuade you, it is better to don't drip this muddy water. But Hu Fian smiled faintly in the face of the furious Zhongyu. Zhongyu, you also said this is my friend. My friend, how can I, Hu Fian, stand by and watch? As the words fell, Hu Fian's divine power shook, and the power of the law of space surged, causing ripples in the surrounding space. Although the pressure in front of her was great, it was not enough to make her afraid. After all, her whole card is not limited to her own strength. End of this chapter. Please remember the domain name of this book's first publication. _WAP. Chapter 4475. Hu Fian is still very confident about the means of life-saving in his own hands. Don't say that you have not entered the 3 holy realms now. You have entered the 3 holy realms, unless the semi-holy level of the strongest wants to deal with her. Otherwise, it is basically impossible to really kill her. Half-holy, that is, half-step saint, is also another kind of name for the half-step Jiezun from outside the world. Those who are strong in the world correspond to the saints. Half-step Jiezun is a half-step saint, referred to as half-saint. As long as the half-holy can't come out, Hu Fian is confident that in a place outside the world, as long as she doesn't enter the secret realm that restricts her from using the life-saving means given by her adoptive father, no one should be able to threaten her life. It seems that he is very confident of the strongest behind him. Is he semi-sage? It can't be a saint, right? Hu Fian glanced at the young man not far away and secretly speculated in her heart. In her opinion, the other party had to protect Tan Xiuting in this situation, indicating that he was not afraid of the strongest person he would face next. Clash. He must have confidence in the strongest behind him. You deal with that, Zhongyu, and the other 4 will leave it to me. And just as Hu Fian was thinking about it, Duan Lingshan's voice was already echoing in her ears, shocking her heart. What this guy means, he wants to deal with 1 enemy and 4. 4 of Leng Jing? Although she didn't know the 3 people brought by Zhongyu and Leng Jing, she also saw from the laws and strength that they showed when they left that their strength was close to the existence of the invincible, high-ranking gods. Perhaps she is slightly inferior to her, but it is difficult for any one person to fight alone. She wants to defeat. If the other 2 join forces, she can only barely contend. When the 3 of them join together, she will lose. Moreover, it was defeated in a short time. But now, this Li Feng, is he crazy? This is the only thought left in Hu Fian's mind at this moment, because, in her opinion, with Li Feng's strength, facing Leng Jing and other 4 close to invincible, high-ranking existences alone is tantamount to being a man with a man's arm. He really thought he was Linghu Yundi? If it was Linghu Yundi, who is known as the Invincible under the Invincible Upper of the Pingxiong realm, could deal with these 4 people, she would still believe. But at most there would be no fear of 4 people, and it would be almost impossible to defeat them. They are all beings close to the invincible high-ranking gods. Even if Linghu Yundi's strength is top, in fact it is also limited, and it is possible to defeat the 2 of Leng Jing and other 4 together. Wanting to beat the 3 of them together is no different from a delusion. As for the 4, it is even more so without even thinking about it. He really wants 1 person to fight 4 people. Just when Hu Fian felt that Duan Lingtian was crazy and a little stunned, she saw that Duan Lingtian had moved and directly slaughtered the 4 of Leng Jing and attacked. At this moment, the young man wearing a purple suit seemed to have turned into a sharp sword out of its sheath, blasting out in a whistling manner. He should be planning to face the four by one person, and at the same time call out the projection of the strongest person behind him. Hu Fian secretly said in his heart. However, thinking about it this way, Hu Fian did not express any opinions on Duan Lingshan's arrangements, and even rushed out when Duan Lingtian set out. In Hu Fian's hands, a compass-shaped weapon appeared, which was her most powerful artifact. This supreme artifact was specially made for her by her adoptive father. It is very suitable for her, and it is also very helpful for her to improve her strength. When this Xian artifact first arrived in her hand, she used it to drive it like an arm, and she didn't need to waste time to run in like other people's Xian artifacts. For example, the 7-orifice Linglong sword in Duan Lingshan's hand was also because he had followed him in the past and had long been run in. Therefore, even if it was transformed into a Xian artifact through multiple Xian artifact embryos, it was no stranger to Duan Lingtian. And ordinary people, given the Xian artifact by the Xian, it takes a long time to run in, and during the run-in period, they can exert all the power of the Xian artifact. Zhong Yu, I've heard of you, the young patriarch of the Zhong clan entailing, and let me see your methods today. After Hu Fian shouted arrogantly, he killed Zhong Yu. And Zhong Yu, in the face of the menacing Hu Fian, did not dare to be careless. After all, the name of the shadow man of the tree, Hu Fian, the deputy commander of the Yentian army, he had also heard of it. It was Hu Bu, the commander of the Yentian army. The returned love daughter, at a young age, already has the strength close to the invincible, high-ranking god. Although there are few strong females, as long as they appear, they're usually amazing and brilliant. For example, Linghu Yundi from the Linghu family that day was one of the strongest. Previously, it was because Linghu Yundi was on Hu Fian's side, so even though he was full of anger and unwillingness, he still gave up and left until he separated from Linghu Yundi and then made a comeback. Of course, the fear of Linghu Yundi is not only because of Linghu Yundi's strength, but also because of Linghu Yundi's background, the Tianmen Linghu family. Hu Fian! Zhong Yu screamed, his divine power bloomed, and the law unfolded, and then the whole person swelled and turned into a giant, surrounded by blood and energy, and rushed towards Hu Fian. Obviously, as soon as Zhong Yu made a move, he used the power of his blood, the Tai Ling Zhong clan, the power of the direct bloodline, is the incarnation of Titan giants, and they collide. It is said that seeing the mountains push the mountains, the water collapses, and the power is unstoppable. Humph! Hu Fian snorted coldly. Seeing Zhong Yu taking him so seriously, he also used his own blood. Originally, she still wanted to pay attention to Li Feng's side. If she asked her to help, she would also give a helping hand in time. But now it seems that she has no time to be distracted. Zhong Yu, who went all out, made her also have to go all out. Moreover, she could almost conclude that Zhong Yu was deliberate. Zhong Yu just didn't want to let himself give Li Feng a helping hand. Hu Fian's guess is indeed correct. As soon as Zhong Yu shot, he tried his best to provide Lung Jing and the four with an opportunity to quickly take down the young man at the first time, or to force the young man to call out the projection of the strongest person behind him. Only then will they be able to confirm whether the other party can provoke. And once the opponent summons the projection of the deity of the strongest, they will also summon it here, and then it will be a battle between the strongest. And if the Xian that the opponent summons is not as strong as the Xians behind their Zhong and Lung families, they may not need to waste the opportunity to call out the Xian's deity to be able to let the opponent hand over the person honestly. As the strong side, they can't take the initiative to call out the projection of the strongest deity. Because the projection of the deity of the Xian cannot be called out at any time, it is necessary to use the projection jade slip of the deity given by the corresponding strong one. And that jade slip, even the strong one, has to spend a lot of energy. Can be produced, not many. Call out. The colorful sword beams spread across the world. Duan Lingtian made a move, and the laws of space were integrated. At the same time, the light in his eyes became stronger and stronger. These people, it's a coincidence. As soon as I broke through the law of space, they all sent them to my door to practice hand skills. That's right. Duan Lingshan's space law, half a month ago, smoothly stepped into the realm of small perfection. At this point, Duan Lingtian finally has a rule. Stepping into the realm of small perfection. You must know that the power of the law has stepped into the realm of small perfection, which is undoubtedly an exaggerated qualitative change for the power of the law and for those who master the law. Before the breakthrough of the law of space, Duan Lingtian had the strength close to the invincible, high-ranking God. Now that the law of space has broken through, perhaps Duan Lingshan's current strength is not yet at the level of the invincible, high-ranking God, but it is probably stronger than 99% of the existence close to the invincible, high-ranking God. Even if it was the existence of the Linghu Yundi who is known as the first person under the invincible high-ranking of the Pingxiong realm, Duan Lingtian now encountered her and dared to fight, and I don't feel that I am weaker than her. End of this chapter. Chapter 4476. After the space law broke through to the realm of small perfection, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel the transformation of his own strength, and it was the transformation of qualitative change. At that moment, he even had a strong feeling. After the breakthrough, it is easy to defeat him before the breakthrough, although perhaps there is still some distance away from that invincible high-ranking God. It is undoubtedly much stronger than the existence of the general close to the invincible high-ranking God. After the breakthrough at that time, he felt his own strength. The first thing he thought of was the existence of Linghu Yundi, the first person under the invincible high-ranking of the Pingxiong realm, who he had encountered not long ago, the daughter of the Tianmen Linghu family. On that day, although he didn't do anything with the opponent stood there, but it gave him a strong sense of oppression and made him feel the distance between him and the opponent. But now that he has broken through, he has the confidence and feels that he will never feel that way again when he meets the opponent again. Unexpectedly, before encountering Linghu Yundi, Zhongyu, the young patriarch of the Zhong clan of Tailing, brought people back, and the 5 close to invincible high-ranking gods all came out, wanting him and Hu Fian to hand over Tan Xiuting. Obviously, the opponent is determined, and they will not easily use the life-saving means given by the strongest for Tan Xiuting. In fact, even if Duan Lingtian wants to protect Tan Xiuting, if he really wants him to use the life-saving means given by the strongest, he also needs to think about it. After all, the life-saving means given by the Xian should be used once less once. And in his hands, the life-saving means given by the strongest was only the spiritual essence and blood given by the heavenly sword Sitole. Apart from that, there was no other means that the strongest gave. Ask him to use up the spirit, accumulation essence, and blood given by Sitole for the sake of Tan Xiuting. He asked himself, there is a high probability that he would not use it. To protect Tan Xiuting, he must protect him, but he can do what he can at best. This time, I can only say that Tan Xiuting is lucky. While Duan Lingtian secretly said, facing the menacing 4 of Lung Jing, his complexion was calm and calm. Lung Jing is a genius child of the Bingdi Lung clan. He is good at the laws of the ice system, comprehending the laws of the ice system to the realm of small perfection, and is not the kind of initial understanding, and has a deep knowledge of the laws of the ice system. As soon as he shot, the surrounding air was icy, giving people the feeling of falling into an ice cellar. The vision of the law spread out, and the shrouded place seemed to have turned into a world of ice and snow, with snow falling and air conditioning scattered, and Lung Jing was the creator of this ice and snow world. The strongest artifact in Lung Jing's hand is also a sword that looks crystal clear, like a sword forged from ice. The sword is sharp, with the air of icy coldness, and the void in the past, the space crack, just appeared. It solidified in an instant, obviously frozen by the icy air bursting out of it. The other three who shot with Lung Jing, as the existence of the Tai Ling Zhong clan close to the invincible high-ranking gods, naturally also have the most powerful artifacts in their hands. In addition, the laws they are good at have also realized the realm of small perfection. After all, not everyone is a monster like Duan Lingtian. Without the power of the law to reach the level of perfection, with the amazing swordsmanship, he has the strength close to the invincible, high-ranking god. In the past, Duan Lingshan's strength was comparable to that of any of the existence of these few invincible, high-ranking gods. At that time, his laws of space had not yet entered the realm of small perfection, and now, with the breakthrough of the law of space, his strength has been further transformed, which can be called the transformation of qualitative change. Call out! Duan Lingtian swept out with a sword, and the colorful glow of the clouds completely robbed the limelight of the ice and snow world that had been affected by the power of Lingjing, making this world colorful. Moreover, Duan Lingshan's sword made the space constantly tremble, and a terrible storm of power swept through it. It was just a confrontation that resisted the joint efforts of the four Lung Jing. Boom! Rumble! In a brief confrontation, Duan Lingshan's strength and the strength of Lung Jing's four collided. The terrible force collided, causing the void to burst, and a huge black hole in space appeared. Then the space vortex appeared, and it was easy to get away from the surroundings. The flowers and soil on the ground were all rolled in. In addition, the aftermath of power dispersed, turning a large area around it into ruins, devastated everywhere. How is this possible? Lung Jing's shocked voice suddenly resounded in the silence after the burst of power, his tone of panic, shock, and incredible in his voice. Invincible high-ranking god! Immediately afterwards, another trembling voice rang out in an exclamation, and it was one of the three old people who shot with calmly and screamed. At the same time, Zhong Yu and Hu Fian, who had been fighting each other evenly, were shocked by the collision of forces just now, and they did not continue to fight. When they looked at where the sound was coming from, saw the ruins and devastation in front of them, and the spatial vortex floating in the void for a long time, they also showed awe and incredible expressions. Immediately afterwards, they could see that Lung Jing's had retreated far away. Judging from their current state, it could be seen that they all looked a little embarrassed. On the other side, Duan Lingtian didn't seem to be much better, but it was just like this that shocked them inexplicably. The law of space in the realm of small perfection. At the same time, Hu Fian, who is also good at space laws, watched Duan Lingtian suddenly exclaimed, Your space laws broke through? At this moment, Hu Fian's tone seemed to be filled with trembling and amazement. She knew Duan Lingshan's strength, because in the past she and Duan Lingtian had battle, and the two were evenly matched. However, in that evenly matched competition, Duan Lingshan's space law was far behind her space law, and she had not yet stepped into the realm of small perfection. Duan Lingtian relied solely on the astonishing and terrifying kendo to draw a tie with her. This Li Feng broke through the law of space? Hu Fian's heart was also trembling violently at this time. With his attainments in kendo, the law of space has broken through to the realm of small perfection. His hands are probably not weaker than that of Linghu Yundi, right? At this moment, it was Hu Fian who couldn't help but think of Linghu Yundi. At the same time, looking at the scene where Duan Lingtian and Lung Jing were clearly evenly matched after the battle, she also further confirmed her guess. This Li Feng, if the sword is further advanced, I am afraid it can be compared with the invincible, high-ranking god. The law of space reaches the state of small perfection. Even if it goes further, if it is not the state of great perfection, the improvement is limited, and it is not enough to produce qualitative change. Only with a big breakthrough in kendo can the opponent have the strength comparable to the invincible high-ranking before the law of space has broken through to the realm of Dzogchen. Hu Fian knew this very well, because her space law has already entered the realm of small perfection, and now the reason why her strength can reach the point of being close to the invincible high-ranking deity is entirely based on his control. It was Zhongyu who had just fought with her. Although the law he was good at had also broken through to the realm of small perfection, what allowed him to possess the strength close to the invincible, high-ranking gods was also one of the 4 ways of weapons he mastered. Chapter 44:77. He is not an invincible, high-ranking god. The other old man who shot with Lung Jing just now has sharp eyes, staring at Duan Lingtian like a goshawk staring at its prey. His eyes are full of fear. His space law is just the space law of the small, perfect state. The reason why his strength can reach this level is entirely because of the swordsmanship he masters against the sky. His current strength. I am afraid it is not weaker than Miss Linghu Yundi from the Linghu family that day. The old man comes from the Zhong clan of Tailing, and is the elder of the Zhong clan of Tailing. This time he left the clan and rushed over after receiving Zhong Yu's information. He was to help his young patriarch and kill the young patriarch who wanted to kill him. People. On the way, he also heard from the young patriarch. Why didn't he attack the opponent before? It's entirely because Linghu Yundi intervened. In this regard, he can also understand the feelings of the young patriarch of his own family. The eldest lady of the Tianmen, Linghu family, sheltered each other. Even if the young patriarch of his family and Lung Jing joined forces, he would not get any benefit, and would also offend him because of this. Hu Yundi, offending Linghu Yundi, is not much different from offending Linghu family. It was precisely because he had heard of Linghu Yundi before. At this moment, he would take out Linghu Yundi, who is recognized as the first person under the invincible upper deity in Pingxiong territory, to compare with the person in front of him. Not weaker than Linghu Yundi. Standing in the distance, Zhong Yu's expression was extremely ugly. At the same time, he stared at Duan Lingtian from a distance, and asked in a deep voice, "Your Excellency, dare you to ask where are you from? Perhaps the forces behind you have an old relationship with my Tai Ling Zhong clan." After Zhong Yu said that, his tone was obviously more polite, but as long as he was a normal person, he could hear the unwillingness and anger behind his suppressed tone. However, facing Zhong Yu's inquiry, Duan Lingtian just glanced at him lightly, then looked away, obviously not planning to respond to him. Seeing this, Zhong Yu was immediately flushed with anger. Think of him as the young patriarch of the Zhong clan of Tailing. When has he been so ignored? If it weren't for the background behind the opponent, he would have exploded long ago. I don't believe his strength can be compared to Linghu Yundi. When Zhong Yu was so angry that his expression was ugly, Lung Jing's indifferent words followed. 3. We just underestimated him and were careless. Next, the 4 of us will try our best, but I want to see if he can resist it. If it can be blocked, it means that his strength is indeed not weaker than Linghu Yundi. At the same time as Lung Jing's voice fell, the eyes of the 3 people around him did not count, and they all fell on Zhong Yu. They are members of the Zhong clan of Tailing. This time they were also called by the young patriarch of their own family. What they should do next naturally depends on what the young patriarch meant. Although Lung Jing has a good relationship with their young patriarch, it is not enough to give orders to them. After seeing Zhong Yu's gloomy nodding, the 3 of them immediately agreed to Zhong Yu, and then they rushed out again with Zhong Yu. 5 terrifying blood swept up, shooting the world. Obviously, the 4 of them shot again, just as Lung Jing said, using their best and no more reservations. The 4 figures carry 4 terrifying powers, as if the sky and the earth are straddling the ages, and the overlapping powers permeated the void, causing the void to burst and collapse. The 4 people, like gods descending, are majestic and majestic. At this moment, they obscured the sky, as if incarnate into the sky, and wanted to suppress everything. Boom! Rumble! Wow! Wow! The terrible power was turbulent, and the surging heaven and earth visions spread out. If it weren't for a very distant place, the movement in front of it was enough to attract many people to come and watch. Of course, no one is inhabited, not really uninhabited. There must be people. Now, they must also have noticed the movement here. But because their strength is too weak, they dare not approach at all, for fear that they will be affected by Chiyu. Oh my God! What kind of powerhouse is fighting against? It's so earth-shattering. Thousands of miles away, a figure that was originally running paused. Looking at the center of the burst of power, his eyes were full of horror. This movement. At least the upper gods, right? I'm afraid it's not an ordinary high-ranking god. In the other direction, 8,000 miles away, a sturdy figure stood on the top of the mountain, watching the distance from afar. His eyes were full of shock. Some time ago, I also stepped into the realm of a high-ranking god. But in front of this opponent, I'm afraid I can't stop even one move, right? Is the invincible high-ranking god. Even if it's not, I'm afraid it's a strong man close to the invincible, high-ranking god. The center of the battlefield. Lun Jing did not believe that Duan Lingtian was not weaker than Linghu Yunda's strength, and once again joined forces with the three powers close to the invincible high-ranking gods to attack Duan Lingtian. This time, the four of them no longer kept their hands, and all took out the means of pressing the bottom of the box. Not far away, both Zhongyu and Hu Fian did not fight each other tacitly. One is because she has already tested out Zhongyu's strength, which is comparable to her. No one is better than anyone, and no one is weaker than anyone. Second, now she wants to see the real means after the breakthrough of Duan Lingshan's space law. This Li Feng also has the law clone. After the space law breaks through, his space law clone must be stronger. Hu Fian secretly said she still knows some of Duan Lingshan's whole cards. At the same time, when faced with the four Lin Jing who were making a comeback again, Duan Lingtian not only flinched without the slightest fear, but even dazzled and greeted him with a flash of body shape. In the process of Duan Lingtian rushing out, while the power of the surrounding space storm swept across the void, another Duan Lingtian appeared. However, the gaze of this Duan Lingtian seemed a bit dull. However, although the person looked a little dull and sluggish, when he moved, he was not much slower than Duan Lingshan's deity, and even more concise and crisp. Law clone! Zhong Yu's pupils shrank slightly. Is this man from 10,000 realms? Although there are also law clones in the inheritance bloodline of powerful forces in the outside world, there are very few and more powerful people with law clones from the 10,000 realms outside the outside world. Wanjia, to Zhongyu, is both familiar and unfamiliar. The reason why he is said to be familiar is because he has heard from his elders since he was a child that the strong realms in the 10,000 realms are like clouds, especially the upper three realms. They have the realm-strong realms comparable to the sages outside their realms. In addition, in their Tailingzhong clan, there are also some offerings from the 10,000 realms. Therefore, he is somewhat familiar with 10,000 realms. Of course, while he is familiar with this aspect because he has never been to the 10,000 worlds, all kinds of understanding of the 10,000 worlds are only heard. So in this respect, he is very unfamiliar with the 10,000 worlds. He only knew the powers of the saints in the three realms of the 10,000 worlds, and the powers under the saints he didn't know much. This person, if he really comes from 10,000 realms, then there's a high probability that he comes from a semi-sage force in 10,000 realms. Thinking of all the previous things, Zhong Yu quickly had an inference in his heart. At the same time that Zhong Yu's thoughts fell, the six figures in the field had already clashed together again. Duan Lingtian, 2 enemies 4. Of course, the law clone is not actually an outsider, so it is not an exaggeration to say that Duan Lingtian is 1 enemy 4. After all, while he has the law clone, he has no blood to rely on. As for the 4 people on the opposite side, the power of the bloodline exploded at this time, and they spared no effort, clearly wanting to join forces to suppress Duan Lingtian. Hu Fian. Zhong Yu looked at Hu Fian, and the voice transmission asked, "This one from which realm of the 10,000 realms?" "Who told you that he is a man of 10,000 realms?" Although Hu Fian marveled at Zhong Yu's keenness in his heart, when he responded, he was imaginary. Okay. And Zhong Yu was also successfully misled by Hu Fian. If it weren't from the 10,000 realms, then it could only come from one of the dozen forces. In places outside the realm, the inherited bloodline does not contain the power of the bloodline, and there are only a few more than a dozen powers that are more than half holy who are clones of the law. And there is only one such saint power. Wrong. Suddenly, Zhong Yu seemed to think of something and shook his head. The Zhong clan behind me is a family, so I habitually think about family power. This person who owns the law clone does not mean that he does not belong to other powerful forces in the outside world, except for those who are not from the dozens of family forces in the outside world. Perhaps he came from a powerful sect outside the world. Or maybe he is a disciple of a semi-holy or above powerhouse. The reason why Duan Lingtian had a semi-sage behind it was completely because he felt that Duan Lingtian was not jealous of him, let alone fearful. And the Tai Lingzhong clan behind him is, anyhow, a powerful force in the second echelon in Pingxiong. Although there is no semi-sage power in control, there are also several strong in the clan. Among them, there is also an existence like Hu Bugui, the commander of the Yentian army, who is close to a half-sage. Such a force, the other party is not afraid. It is obviously bigger. Okay. And while Zhong Yu was still speculating, the loud roar from his ears and the terrifying aftermath of oncoming power made him have to rush to resist. All the distracted attention was also completely condensed at this moment and fell on the field. At this time, Duan Lingtian and Lung Jing's second confrontation finally had a result after a brief head-on confrontation. How's it going? Zhong Yu's heart moved. Hu Fian, who was not far away, was also staring at the field, the smoke and dust in the sky, from the beginning of the billowing to the present gradually falling, but it was a matter of instant effort. The smoke dissipated, and everything in the field clearly fell into the eyes of Hu Fian and Zhong Yu. But the next moment, the two of them were all together for a while, their eyes dull. End of this chapter. Please remember the domain name of this book's first publication. _WAP. Chapter 4478. Under the eyes of Hu Fian and Zhong Yu, the four Lung Jing stood apart in the distance, panting, pale, and bleeding from the corners of their mouths, obviously suffering serious injuries. On the other side, a young man dressed in purple stood there with a pale face. As for his law clone, at this time he looked a little illusory, as if he might collapse at any time. If you don't enter the invincible high-ranking gods, you still can't completely crush these existences that are close to the invincible high-ranking gods. Duan Lingtian sighed secretly as he looked at the four people in the distance. Just now, he can say that he has shot with all his strength, even if no other laws are used. Other laws, before reaching the realm of small perfection. In fact, the algorithm is cloned. Faced with such a battle, it is also cannon fodder, and it is of little use at all. Of course, in this battle, Duan Lingtian is proud that he did not use the power of the Tree of Life in the small world in his body, and the power of one of the 5 element gods, Jingshi Shinshui. If it is borrowed, Lung Jing's will be further traumatized by him, and he himself will not be so embarrassed, even though he is far from being embarrassed by the Lung Jing for now. As for the complete defeat and even the killing of the 4 Lung Jing, even with the help of the life tree and Jingshi Shinshui in the small world inside the body, Duan Lingtian couldn't do it, unless the power of his law goes one step further and enters the realm of Dzogchen. Or maybe his kendo takes a big step forward. Both once realized, Duan Lingtian will officially become the invincible high-ranking god, becoming a rare existence in this area of heaven and earth than the strongest. But The law of space, if you want to go further, it is extremely difficult, not only requires understanding, but also requires a lot of luck. Or chance. This time, my space law can smoothly enter the realm of small perfection. In addition to my past accumulation, more importantly, it is because I recently got recorded floating shadow beads shot by an invincible upper who is good at space law. In terms of kendo, I haven't improved in a long time. It feels, the further you go, the harder it is to improve. It's like my current state has come to an end. Perhaps, find some time, go back to the gods, find the master, and discuss with him. It should be a little enlightening. Duan Lingshan's kendo was enlightened by Feng Qingyang. Even if he walked out of his own way of space kendo behind, it was still born out of Feng Qingyang's own kendo. Perhaps Duan Lingshan's current overall strength is not weaker than Feng Qingyang, or even stronger. However, in terms of kendo, Duan Lingtian knows himself well, and there is still some distance from the gentle wind of the master. If my swordsmanship can reach the level of a master, I am afraid that after the breakthrough of the law of space, I will already be an invincible, high-ranking god. Duan Lingtian secretly said, "It is precisely because of this that he can further deeply realize how terrifying his master's accomplishments in swordsmanship are. Perhaps, even if it is a realm powerhouse, that is, Asaj from outside the world, who is good at one of the 4 ways of heaven and earth, it is difficult to find a person who can match the master in the way of weapons, let alone find someone who surpasses the master." Duan Lingtian also had a further understanding of this point after coming to the outside world. The strongest, as long as they comprehend the law to the realm of great perfection, even if they don't perceive any of the 4 paths of heaven and earth, they have the strength close to semi-sage. Some of the powerful trees of life can directly have semi-sacred power. It is precisely because of this that after the invincible high-ranking gods become the strongest, the worst is the strength close to the semi-sage, the strong, and even can have the strength comparable to the semi-sage, or even the saint in one fell swoop. If it is those invincible high-ranking gods who have comprehended the laws to the realm of great perfection, and also comprehended one of the 4 paths of heaven and earth to extremely high attainments, after becoming the strongest, they will directly have the strength of saints, such as Duan Lingtian now. If Duan Lingtian now comprehends the law of space to the realm of Dzogchen, and then becomes the strongest, with the swordsmanship he now masters, he can directly have the strength of a saint. At this moment, Duan Lingtian sighed secretly here, regretting that he felt that he couldn't completely crush the 4 people in front of him, which was a big shortcoming. On the other side, apart from Hufian and Zhong Yu being shocked by Duan Lingshan's hands, the 4 Lung Jing who had just experienced an unusual collision with Duan Lingtian at this time looked at Duan Lingtian with sincere eyes. Horrified and unbelievable. How can he be so strong? Obviously, it is not the invincible high-ranking god. His kendo is too strong. It feels, even if Linghu Yundi is here, he may not be his opponent. Lung Jing's heart trembled. He didn't believe that the opponent was weaker than Linghu Yundi before, but after another confrontation just now, and it was a confrontation with his full shot, he had to believe the opponent does have the strength not weaker than Linghu Yundi. This person, who is it? With such strength, let alone in our Pingxiong realm, even if we look at the 3 holy realms, or even places outside the realm, there are definitely not unknown people. Which power is he from? The other 3 from the Tai Lingzhong clan were close to the invincible high-ranking gods. When they stared at Duan Lingtian, their hearts trembled constantly. As for Zhong Yu, after some communication with Lung Jing, his heart was also weak. As far as the offline situation is concerned, they do not have any upper hand, and it can even be said to be a disadvantage. If they are really fighting for life and death, I am afraid they are still slightly inferior. Of course, it is almost impossible for the other party to kill any of them. However, the more serious injuries are definitely on their side. Call! Zhong Yu flashed away, and he came to Lung Jing's side. At the same time, his eyes fell on Duan Lingtian again. He slightly arched his hands and said, "Your strength is admirable. My junior was killed by your servants, so let's give it up. What do you think?" Zhong Yu, after all, chose to make concessions. No concessions will not work. If you continue to do it, even if you don't get crushed by the opponent, you will still be crushed and beaten by the opponent, and it is only them who are aggrieved. In the end, they could only retreat in embarrassment. As for the use of the projection object, given by the strongest to summon the strongest deity, if they use it here, wouldn't the other side not use it? Not to mention the powerful and mysterious young man in purple clothes, Hu Fian, who can easily summon the deity projection of Hu Bugue, the leader of the Nyan heavenly army. Hu Bugue, the leader of the Yentian army, is an existence close to the semi-sage, not weaker than the strongest of their Tai Ling Zhong clan. If Hu is not alone, it is enough to easily protect the other party. Not to mention, behind this mysterious purple-clothed youth, there is most likely a semi-holy presence. If the half-holy deity is projected, if there is no half-holy on their side, the price must be paid in the end, even not a small price. At that time, it will be them who will suffer, and their Tai Lingzhong clan does not have a semi-holy existence. Therefore, it is undoubtedly the wisest choice to end this conflict at this time, so as to minimize the loss. Humph! However, Duan Lingtian, who heard Zhong Yu's words, suddenly snorted. "Do you think I am the one you can provoke, and you can retreat if you want?" Ridiculous! Duan Lingshan's stern shout made Zhong Yu's complexion suddenly change, and the complexions of Lung Jing also became ugly in an instant. Obviously, the other party is unwilling to give up, and this also made Zhong Yu, and even Lung Jing and others, more and more sure that behind this mysterious purple-clothed youth, there must be a half-sage or above. Otherwise, where does the other party have such confidence? Zhong Yu. If the projection of the semi-saint deity is shown, even if we summon the deity projections of our two strongest ancestors at the same time, I am afraid we have to bow our heads and compromise. When Lung Jing transmitted the sound to Zhong Yu, his tone was a little trembling. Half-holy. Such a strong person, the cold clan of them, can't afford to provoke them. End of this chapter. Chapter 4479. Half-Saint. The Bingdi Lung clan can't afford it. The Tai Lingzhong clan can't afford it either. Zhong Yu understands this truth very well. It is precisely because of this that he will compromise. Otherwise, with the pride of him as the young patriarch of the Zhong clan of Tai Ling, how could he bow his head like just now? For the first time in his life, he bowed his head like that. "Sir, what do you want?" After hearing Lung Jing's transmission, Zhong Yu took a deep breath, looked at Duan Lingtian, and asked sincerely. There was no longer the previous arrogance, only politeness and a hint of humility. There was a semi-holy thing behind the opponent, although it was all his guess. However, even if it was a guess, he did not dare to bet. Because the bet is lost, the price is too high. Moreover, he is 90% sure of his guess. Therefore, he did not dare to bet, nor could he bet. I'm not a kid anymore. If you do something wrong, you have to pay a price. Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhong Yu indifferently and said, "I heard that in Tailing your Zhong clan has mastered Elysium Flower Valley. I'm not greedy, Elysium Flower King. Just give me 9 plants." When the voice fell, he didn't care about Zhong Yu, whose face changed suddenly, and then looked at Lung Jing. Iceland Lung clan, the captive Baiming Hanyu, has long been like Lei Gunner. On your side, I am also not greedy. Give me 3 northern underworld fish kings. Whether it is the king of bliss or the king of the North Sea fish, they are extremely rare treasures of heaven and earth, and they have a great effect on the cultivation of the monks under the upper gods. Even high-ranking gods can use them to refine their divine power, but few people are extravagant to do so. Even the Zhong clan and the Lung clan would not allow the upper gods in the clan to do such things, because this is an extremely extravagant and wasteful thing. As Duan Lingshan's voice fell, Lung Jing's face changed instantly. This is not greedy. The Lung clan, although they raise the northern underworld fish in captivity, the northern underworld fish is very difficult to raise, and it consumes a lot of valuable resources of the Lung clan. And the northern underworld fish emperor, among the northern underworld fish, is one of the only existence in 1,000,000. In the past 10,000 years, among the north underworld cold fishes raised by their Lung clan, there have also been 2 north underworld cold fish emperors. And now, when this mysterious young man opened his mouth, he actually asked for 3. If this can be called not greedy, what is greedy? It is that their Lung clan can now produce at most 10 or 8 northern underworld cold fish emperors, and that is already where their Lung clan's deposits are. The situation on Zhong Yu's side is similar. 9 trees of bliss cow. This is not greedy. Why don't you go to heaven? Although he felt that the person in front of him was greedy, Zhong Yu didn't anger him because of the situation. He had no second choice other than active compensation. Zhong Yu. Lung Jing sent a message to Zhong Yu and complained, "This time, I am trying to help you. What he wants from me should be yours." Now, Lung Jing really regretted it, and he would have known it a long time ago. What happened to him this time? What happened to his frozen clan? However, Zhong Yu smiled coldly after hearing Lung Jing's complaint. Lung Jing, from beginning to end, I didn't take the initiative to ask you for help. You are the one who is hot. You must follow me to join in the fun. Including the comeback now, although it is my plan. Before I tell the plan, are you encouraging? If there is nothing wrong, you are afraid that the world will not be chaotic. Now, something has happened. You want to separate the relationship? Is there such a good thing in this world? Zhong Yu is also a little angry now, this Lung Jing. He really didn't expect him to be of much help, including the helpers who came now, who were all members of the Zhong clan he had called. And now, having caused trouble together, he actually wants to separate the relationship? Simply wishful thinking. Your mightiness. Taking a deep breath, Zhong Yu looked at Duan Lingtian. He was irritated by Lung Jing Chuanin, and he was no longer in the mood to bargain with the other party. The king of bliss you want. Our Zhong family can give it to you. But I don't have it. It needs to be fetched from the Hui clan. Okay, I'll be waiting for you here. Duan Lingtian nodded. He didn't expect the other party to bring so many king of bliss with him. As for bad debts, he is not worried, judging from the current situation. Zhong Yu is obviously very jealous of him. The high probability is that he feels that there is more than a half-sage behind him, and he does not dare to provoke him. Not only Zhong Yu didn't dare to provoke, but the Zhong clan behind Zhong Yu didn't dare to provoke a semi-sage power easily. I will come back as soon as possible. Zhong Yu nodded to Duan Lingtian, and then he greeted his people to leave. When they came, they were majestic when they left. It's just that when the Tai Ling Zhong clan and his party left, they obviously lost their aggressive momentum. One by one, their heads down and their morale lost. When you come, imagine trying to push the other side and get what you want. When I left, the matter was unsuccessful, and he retreated in embarrassment. Zhong Yu took people away like this. All of a sudden, except for Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian, there was only Lung Jing left on the scene. And Duan Lingshan's gaze fell on Lung Jing's body at this time. After Lung Jing noticed Duan Lingshan's gaze and Hu Fian's gaze following him, he felt a chill in his heart. Not to mention that the young man in front of him is far from being a rival. Plus Hu Fian's words, if the two join hands, even if they really keep him here forever, it's not impossible. 3 northern underworld fish emperors. I will get them from the Hui clan. While Lung Jing secretly took a breath of air conditioning, he hurriedly expressed his stance to Duan Lingtian. as if he was afraid that he would be too late to express his stance, and Duan Lingtian would misunderstand that he was unwilling to pay compensation. When the voice fell, Lung Jing also ran away in a hurry. After Lung Jing left, Duan Lingtian looked at Hu Fian and said silently, "Didn't you say they would bargain? Why are they so happy?" "I asked to be lowered." "I knew that, so I'll say more." Whether it is the King of Bliss with the Zhong clan of Tai Ling or the King of North Sea Fish from the Bingdi Lung clan, it is Hu Fian's idea and Hu Fian's suggestion. According to Hu Fian's original words, these two things are very rare things, so you can quote a price and wait for the other party to pay, such as the Northern Underworld Fish Emperor. It is already a pleasant surprise to get one. Bliss cow, if you can get 3 or 5 plants, it's not bad. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Hu Fian was actually a little speechless. The scene, just now, also surprised her. She never expected that Zhong Yu and Lung Jing would be so happy. Could it be that those two guys really thought there was a semi-sage power behind Li Feng? I'm afraid it is indeed the case. Otherwise, how could they cooperate like this? They are not bargaining. For a while, Hu Fian looked at Duan Lingtian with a bit more envy. 9 trees of bliss cow, 3 North Sea Fish Kings. Even for her, this is a great asset. Even this is the treasure that can make the strongest fight. The other side, on the way to bring people back to the Zhong clan in tailing. Zhong Yu's expression was so ugly and ugly. He never expected that this time he would lose so badly. Even if the strength is not as good as the opponent, even the background is far inferior to the opponent. "Senior brother, you have hurt me miserably, brother." Now, Zhong Yu has already regretted being up for his junior. For a dead deceased, the loss was so heavy. Zhong Yu could imagine that his father, the contemporary patriarch of the Zhong clan, would definitely scold him when he returned this time. Once the 9 trees of bliss cow go out, this news is impossible to hide. At that time, his father will also be under pressure from the clan elders in the clan. After all, Bliss Cow belongs to the family, not his father, and the matter was caused by him. No, even if I hand over the things this time, I can't make him feel better. He is carrying a lot of treasure, enough to make some strong people desperate for it. Among them, it also includes the Xian. A flash of madness flashed in Zhong Yu's eyes. 9 trees of bliss cow. 3 Northern Underworld Fish Kings. Enough to make many Xians go crazy. However, even if we want to spread the news, we must be careful. We can't let him find the heads of our Zhong clan again. It's best to lead this disaster to the Lung clan. Thinking of this, the corner of Zhong Yu's mouth also gave a sneer at the right time. When Zhong Yu brought people back to the Zhong clan in tailing, Lung Jing also returned to the Bingdi Lung clan alone. This time the uncle must be under great pressure. I knew it. I want join in this excitement. When Linghu Yundi left, how good I was to go to the Hui clan. Why should I join Zhong Yu in the fun? Lingjing now has regrets in his intestines. Whether it was the Zhong clan of Tai Ling or the Bingdi Lung clan, with the return of Zhong Yu and Lung Jing, great shocks occurred. After all, whether it is the 9 Flower Kings of Bliss or the 3 North Sea Fish Kings, they are too important and precious to the Zhong family and the Lung family. However, when he heard Zhong Yu and Lung Jing say that those who asked for these things, there was a semi-holy person behind them in 9 out of 10, although the senior leaders of the 2 clans were reluctant, but they were forced to take out things due to the situation. On Zhong Yu's side, because many people testified, the Zhong clan also directly gave him things and asked him to send them there. On Lung Jing's side, because he was alone and no one testified, there were several elders from the Lung clan who bluntly said that in order to prevent Lung Jing from being robbed of things on the way, they also followed this time. In fact, Lung Jing knew in his heart that these clan elders were not worried that they would be robbed, but worried that they would lie to the sky and deceive the 3 Baiming Hanyu emperors. End of this chapter. Chapter 4480. 9 bliss cow, 3 northern netherfrost jade emperors. These 2 treasures are extremely precious to the Tailingzhong clan and the Bingdi clan. Therefore, after Zhongyu and Lung Jing left with their belongings, the senior leaders of the 2 clans also began to surround them. There was a heated discussion on how to punish Zhongyu and Lung Jing. This time, even if there are people behind Zhongyu and Lung Jing, it is impossible to protect them without thinking, and the people behind them also need to take care of others. After all, public anger is hard to come by. This time, because of the actions of the 2, the family suffered a huge loss, and it would be difficult to convince the public if they were not severely punished. And now Zhongyu and Lung Jing are on their way to the place where Duan Lingtian is, and they don't know yet that the clan behind them has already decided on their punishment. Zhongyu's side is okay. After all, he is the young patriarch of the Zhong family, and he is also a star of tomorrow that the Zhong family has entrusted with high hopes, so the punishment for him is somewhat restrained. On the other hand, Lung Jing was not so lucky. The punishment waiting for him was more than double the punishment that Zhongyu was about to face. Your Excellency, this is the 9 bliss cow you want. When Zhongyu left, he brought 12 people with him, and when he returned to Duan Lingtian again, there were only 4 people, and only the 3 who were close to the invincible superior gods. Seeing Zhongyu sending the things out, the 3 of them all showed pain in their faces. After all, the 9 Flower Kings of Bliss is also a treasure for their Zhong family, which may slow down the cultivation process of some outstanding descendants of their Zhong family. Okay. Duan Lingtian nodded lightly and took the things away. After accepting Najia as the master, he saw that there were 9 very strange-looking flower plants suspended in the air in the space inside. There is no force entangled in them. They are completely relying on their own aura, standing in the sky, giving people a feeling of vitality. The 9 bliss flower kings seem to have life. When Duan Lingtian checked them through Neji, the originally huge flowers began to close and finally closed completely, turning into flower buds. It's amazing! Seeing this scene, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but sigh and sigh. It was the first time in his life that he saw such a magical flower. It is indeed a rare existence in the world. Ordinary bliss flowers, the effect is average, only useful for cultivators under the gods. But the bliss flower king is aimed at the cultivators above the gods and under the gods. Even the effect of bliss cow is far better than Shen Yunquan. According to Duan Lingshan's understanding through the pure world Shen Shui, one of the 5 elements of the small world in the body, the bliss flower is not comparable to the god Yunquan. But the god Yunquan is not comparable to the king of bliss flowers, the bliss flower king. Even in terms of assistance to cultivation, cow bliss is far superior to Shen Yunquan in any aspect. Whether it is the absorption speed, the degree of absorption, or even the effect, all-round bursts of the Shen Yunquan. The most important is Shen Yunquan has requirements for the cultivation of the user, and those who are too weak cannot bear the medicinal power of Shen Yunquan. Bliss too, and cow bliss, even a mortal without any cultivation, can take it, and even after taking it, the medicinal power will be stored in his body and slowly released for him to absorb, cultivate, and digest. Previously, after learning this from Jingshi Shenshui's mouth, Duan Lingtian can be said to be extremely pleasantly surprised. This also means that his relatives with lower cultivation bases can also quickly improve their cultivation bases by taking Bliss Flower King, not only becoming gods, but even becoming kings, emperors, and even gods. You must know that in the past, for many of his close relatives, this was tantamount to a dream. Because of the limitation of talent, let alone a king or above, it was a difficult thing to become a god. And now the problem is solved. Of course, even if he can go to the back, he depends on how his relatives choose. After all, once he steps into the realm of the king, he will begin to face 1,000-year calamity. At that point, it is not impossible to retreat without advancing. If you don't enter, you will perish under the 1,000-year calamity, and you will die. If you don't enter the realm of the King of Gods, you don't need to face the 1,000-year catastrophe. You can still live forever and live with the heaven and the earth. Of course, if it is said to be eternal life, in fact, if there is not enough strength to protect oneself, there will be more cultivators in a place rich in spiritual energy, and naturally the cultivation progress will be slow. At this time, the strong will drive out the weak. If you want to truly achieve eternal life without desire and desire, you can only go to places that are not suitable for cultivation. That is the place where mortals gather. But what's the point of being in that place? You can only watch your new mortal friends die from generation to generation, while you live forever alone. Maybe there are people around you, but how many people are there always by your side? After the trip to the 3 sacred realms, find an opportunity to return to the God-defying realm. Then, give the things to Huaner, Xiaofei'er, and their parents. Others, Duan Lingtian does not know. However, Huaner, Xiaofei'er, and his father Duan Ruffin, as long as they have the opportunity, they will definitely choose to take the path of the King of Gods and pursue a higher level of cultivation, not only to protect the people around him, but also to follow his footsteps closer. After the 9 Blissflower Kings arrived, Zhongyu deliberately calmed down, politely bid farewell to Duan Lingtian, and then turned around and left. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian continued to wait for the arrival of the Bingdi Lung clan, Lungjing. The Blissflower King has arrived, but the Jade Emperor of Beiminghan has not arrived yet. Half a month later, Duan Lingtian finally waited for Lungjing's arrival. Next to Lungjing, there were 2 new faces, 2 old people who looked old. Although they were polite when they arrived, they still asked Duan Lingtian to learn from each other. As long as you beat them, not only 3 North Netherfrost Fish Kings will be given away, but also 100 North Netherfrost Fish. Even the ordinary Beiminghanyu is more precious than the ordinary Blissflower, and it is not inferior to the Shen Yunquan. Moreover, the Beiminghan fish is different from the Blissflower. The Blissflower is a treasure that helps people improve their cultivation, while the Beiminghan fish is more inclined to help people wash the tendons and cut the marrow, reborn, and can explore a person's potential and talent. For people with extraordinary talent, no amount of Beiminghan Fish Emperor will be of any help. But for people whose talent has not reached the extreme limit, Beiminghan Jade Emperor is of great use. Ordinary Beiminghanyu also has a great effect on people with mediocre or even low talent. Hundreds of North Netherfrost fish. Duan Lingtian knew in his heart that the 2 old men from the Bingdi Lung clan obviously wanted to test their own strength to verify whether Lungjing was working with him to win the Beiminghan Fish Emperor of the Lung clan. And for him, if he wants to successfully get the 3 Northern Netherfrost Fish Kings, this battle is inevitable. He is very clear about this. Therefore, he did not refuse. The result of the discussion came out very quickly. Within 30 moves, Duan Lingtian completely suppressed the 2 elders of the Lung clan and convinced them. The strength of the 2, although they are close to the invincible upper gods like Lungjing, they are obviously much stronger than Lungjing, and their rich combat experience is far from Lungjing's. That's all. Duan Lingtian, in addition to getting 3 Beiminghan Fish Emperors from the Bingdi Lung clan, also got 100 Beiminghan fish, which can be said to be a great harvest. After that, the 2 elders of the Lung clan, in their polite words, also speculated that they wanted to inquire about Duan Lingshan's origin. However, Duan Lingtian ignored them, because he knows that at this time if he talks too much, he will lose, and if he stays arrogant, he can make the other party more vicious. Otherwise, if the other party knows that there is no semi-sacred existence behind him, why not directly summon the strongest of the Lung clan to come and destroy him? It really irritated the Lung clan. Even if the Yentian army commander Hubugue or even the Qingtian sword Situ Lei came in person, I am afraid that he may not be able to save his life. As a powerful clan in the Pingxiong realm, the Lung clan is not only powerful in itself, but also has an amazing network of connections. This is what Duan Lingtian heard from Hufian. If a half-sage leaves, what who does not return? What Siddhu lay, even if the deity comes, it is useless. At that time, only the existence of the same semi-sage or above can save him. It's just, where did he go to find existences above the semi-sage to protect him? If he has achieved an invincible upper god, there may be a semi-sage or even a saint willing to take the initiative to protect him. But the problem is, he hasn't come that far yet. End of this chapter. Chapter 4481. The elders of the Bingdi Lung clan did not find out any useful information, and could only watch Duan Lingtian, Hu Fian, and Tan Xiaoding struttingly board the artifact spaceship and leave. Lung Jing, who was standing in place after the artifact spaceship disappeared behind his eyes, could feel the icy gaze falling on him. He felt a chill. He knew that the matter of sending the Birmingham Fish Emperor this time would not be so easy to end. As the party who dragged down the Lung clan to hand over such a treasure, he will definitely be severely punished. This time, it's a complete setback. I just hope that the punishment for me within the clan will not be too harsh. Lung Jing felt bitter in his heart, but now he, besides regretted following Zhongyu to join in the fun, and even helping Zhongyu to get ahead. That Zhongyu, that's too boring. What if he bears everything? He is the young patriarch of the Zhong family and the future leader of the Zhong family. Even if the Zhong family wants to punish him, how much can they punish? The current Lung Jing hated Zhongyu in his heart. From now on, he and I are no longer friends. The current Zhong, you did not know what Lung Jing was thinking. On the way back to the Zhong family entailing, he sent a message back to the clan and told his father, the contemporary patriarch of the Zhong family, about his plans. Father, am not reconciled with this matter. I think you and even the family must not be reconciled. Although I guess that there are more than half sages behind that person, but that's just speculation after all. It would be great if we could take this opportunity to confirm. If I can't, I'm always a little bit angry. This time, Zhongyu didn't make his own decisions as he wanted to avenge his junior brother earlier. This time, in order to deal with the young man beside Hu Fian, he asked his father to go into action. His father represented the tailing Zhong family. It's easy to get in touch with some of the strongest. Even if you want to leak secrets without knowing it, it is not difficult for the strongest to stare at each other. I will arrange this matter. You don't need to follow up. And Zhongyu's father, the contemporary patriarch of the Zhong family entailing, also responded quickly. Zhong Hanin is the contemporary patriarch of the Zhong clan entailing. He is a tall and burly middle-aged man who looks rough, but his big eyes are shining with wisdom. As the patriarch of the Zhong family entailing, Zhong Hanin himself is also a supreme power. Of course, they are just ordinary superpowers, not to mention semi-sages, and even Hu Bugui, the commander of the Yantian army, can't compare to them. However, this did not affect his status in the Zhong family, because the strongest contemporary member of the Zhong family is the ancestor of his lineage and also his great-grandfather. That is in existence with a strength close to a half-holy. Looking at the vast territory of Pingxiong, there are very few people who can compete with his great-grandfather. 9 bliss cow, such a big appetite. At this moment, Zhong Hanyan's face is also extremely gloomy, a pair of wise gongs and big eyes flashing with a cold luster. The whole person seems to be transformed into a fierce beast at this moment, choosing people to devour. No matter who you are, whether or not there is a demigod behind you. Our Zhong family's things are not so easy to swallow. While muttering, Zhong Hanyan's body suddenly vibrated and began to blur. Then it disappeared silently in place, as if it had disappeared out of thin air. At the same time, in a room in a spacious courtyard of the Zhong family, Zhong Hanyan's figure appeared, crossed his legs, and then a human-shaped light and shadow rose from him and then escaped into the void. 9 bliss flower kings, 3 Birmingham fish kings. If you want to come, many people are interested. The void space is a magical space that only the strongest can enter. When the superpower enters here with consciousness, it will manifest a new identity, which has nothing to do with the original identity. And this, there is no need for the strongest to do it intentionally. No one can tell how long the void space has existed, because all the superpowers will have a certain sense of the void space after breaking through to become the powerhouse, as if something is calling them. And when they consciously sneak in, they will find that they appear in an independent space, and they will have a new identity in that space. Whether it's appearance or breath, it's all changed. Here, even if you say who you are by name, no one will believe it, because no one can confirm that some of the people here are the people you know. Unless the other party can tell some secret things that only they know each other, so that they can recognize each other inside. However, in the void space, there are too many superpowers. Many superpowers like to retire here when they have nothing to do, and some superpowers who are chasing more power are here to talk to others. There are those who talk about the power of laws. There are also those who talk about the 4 realms of heaven and earth. There are also those who talk about the potential of the tree of life, and so on. There are also some superpowers who occasionally appear here, not for anything else, just to inquire about some news about the land of return to the ruins. The land of return to the ruins is similar to the existence of the secret realm, but unlike the secret realm that is artificially generated, the land of return to the ruins is said to be formed automatically by the power of the rules of this world. Inside, there is even a chance for the strongest. Some opportunities, not only ordinary superpowers, but also semi-sages and even the existence of saints or above, can also be of great help to them, and even go further. In those places, there are many superpowers who cannot enter in person, and only those below the superpowers can enter. At this time, a small number of supreme powers who have the invincible upper gods under their hands also occupied a great advantage. Under the strongest, the invincible superior is the strongest, which is recognized. In the face of the invincible upper gods, all the existences that are not strong enough to be invincible are basically like paper, fragile and vulnerable to a single blow, such as Duan Lingtian. Now, with his strength, there are few rivals under the invincible, superior god Venerable. However, in the face of the real, invincible, superior god Venerable, he is afraid that he will not be able to withstand even 3 moves. The invincible, superior god Venerable is a kind of qualitative change, not only the qualitative change of his own strength, even if it is beyond the world, and even the rules of heaven and earth above the 10,000 worlds. It will give him great power so that he can get a qualitative change in all aspects. This has always been a treatment only after the achievement of the strongest. The baptism of the rules of heaven and earth, giving great power. Wei Li, short for great power. It stands to reason that the land of return to the ruins is extremely important, and the most powerful people, even if they know about it, will treasure it for themselves, and it is impossible to share news about the land of return to the ruins with others. However, if some places of return to the ruins are targeted by some powerful people, those weak and strong people who know the news, seeing that they can't get a share of the pie, will often enter the void space and spread the news. Its purpose is only to prevent those powerful supreme beings from swallowing up the land of ruins. Only in this way can they be a little happier. Although harming others is not good for themselves, for them, comfort is the most important thing. I can't get it, and you don't want to get it so easily. And now Zhong Hanin, the patriarch of the Zhong clan in Tailing, came to Taishu space to spread the news that the superior who has strength is only close to the invincible superior god, and he is carrying 9 blissful flower kings and 3 Beiminghan. The fish emperor in a certain direction is going somewhere news. Of course, this kind of news, the powerful Xian will not pay attention. First of all, they didn't pay much attention to the 9 bliss flower kings and the 3 northern netherfrost fish kings. Second, they also felt that it would be a loss of identity to take action against such a weak existence. However, this is not attractive to the powerful Xians. but it does not mean that it is not attractive to those who are at the bottom of the Zeons. End of this chapter. Chapter 4482. Deputy Commander Who? Then we will leave here, and there will be a future. When there was still some distance from the border between the Wind Holy Land and the Thunder Holy Land, Duan Lingtian sent Hu Fian out of the artifact spaceship, looked at Hu Fian and said with a smile, Li Feng, you must keep a low profile and bide your time along the way. The two big clans seem to be bowing their heads, but they are not sure what small moves will be made later. It is a very simple thing to borrow a knife to kill, especially if you are carrying treasure. Hu Fian said solemnly, although you may have some trump cards in your hand, and you are not afraid of ordinary powerhouses, but those methods are also one less. If you run out, unless there is a strong deity behind you to come to protect you. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will be more fortunate. Speaking of later, Hu Fian's face became more and more early. Many thanks to Deputy Commander Hu for reminding me. I will be careful. Duan Lingtian nodded, although there was still a faint smile on his face, but his gaze was a little more solemn. Farewell. Hu Fian nodded at Duan Lingtian, then took out an artifact spaceship and drove the spaceship to fly away. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a small black spot, and then completely disappeared in front of Duan Lingshan's eyes. She said what she had to say. She did what she had to do. What happens next depends on Li Feng's own creation. Of course, on her side, it also depends on her own good fortune. This time, it was Hu Fian who took the initiative to part ways with Duan Lingtian. According to Hu Fian, the reason why she decided to go with Duan Lingtian before was because she felt that Duan Lingshan's strength was comparable to his, and the two of them could help each other and promote each other. Even if there is any danger, the two go hand in hand. But now, Duan Lingshan's space law has further broken through, and he has the strength to surpass her in all directions in one fell swoop. If he walks with her in the future, it will not only be difficult for her to promote, but it may also make her feel slack, which is not conducive to cultivation and self-improvement. In fact, this was the most fundamental reason why Hu Fian planned to separate from Duan Lingtian. Seeing Hu Fian leaving, Duan Lingtian didn't go back to the artifact spaceship for the first time, but dodged and disappeared. Reappearing, it is already in the distance. Duan Lingshan's figure constantly shuttled back and forth around. Soon his figure stopped, and as he stretched out his hand, a figure was also pulled out by his power. He was a sloppy middle-aged man. This sloppy middle-aged man, Duan Lingtian, is not oblivious. It is the person who brought Zhongyu and others to find them before, and it is the remnant of a bandit organization that Tan Xiuting killed earlier. And Zhongyu, because the leader of this person's organization is his junior brother. That's why this time he will come forward. Sir, spare your life. Your lord, spare your life. After being caught out by Duan Lingtian, the sloppy middle-aged complexion changed dramatically, and the thing he was most unwilling to face in his heart finally happened. In fact, when Zhongyu made a comeback, when he found the person in front of him through him, he knew that if the person in front of him was safe, he would definitely think of being followed. If you continue to follow the other party, you will take great risks. After all, the other party is not an idiot. What a joke! An idiot can cultivate to such a level? However, although he was reluctant to follow, and even when Zhongyu gave instructions, he specifically stated his intentions. But Zhongyu threatened him with both toughness and softness. In the end, he even put a taboo poison on him that required regular antidote, and let him no choice but to follow Zhongyu's words again. Zhongyu made you stare at us. Duan Lingtian glanced at the middle-aged man indifferently and asked in a calm tone. Previously, 9 times out of 10, the person in front of him followed and provided Zhongyu with their whereabouts in time. Only then could Zhongyu lead the person to catch up with precision. As for the middle-aged, after hearing Duan Lingshan's words, he smiled wryly and shook his head, Before, it was Zhongyu who asked me to follow you. However, after they retreated, Zhongyu didn't contact me anymore. Instead, it was the Bingdi Lung clan. Lung Jing contacted me and asked me to help follow you. He drugged me, so I had to do it. Sir, please spare my life. It's not what I want. The middle-aged begged. However, Duan Lingtian ignored the middle-aged man. He lifted his hand, and his palm suddenly formed a fist. In an instant, a powerful force of space converged and directly killed the middle-aged man. After killing the middle-aged man and confirming that no one else was watching, Duan Lingtian just returned to the artifact spaceship and at the same time greeted Tan Xiaoting. On the next journey, change your appearance and become an old man. As soon as the voice fell, Duan Lingshan's body also turned with divine power, and the aura of space law permeated. His appearance at this moment has undergone earth-shaking changes. The originally softer face has now become a lot more arrogant and arrogant. The purple robe on his body has also changed into a slightly loose black robe at this moment. A pair of thick eyebrows and big eyes, combined with a pair of stern eyes, look sharp, pressing. On Tan Xiaotang's side, he also turned into an old man in a light gray robe, then bowed to Duan Lingtian and said respectfully in a hoarse and old voice, "Master, we will go to the Wind Holy Land next, or Lei Holy Land." Ahead is the border between the Wind Holy Land and the Thunder Holy Land, and Hufian, who had left earlier, was heading for the Wind Holy Land. Duan Lingtian rolled his eyes and said, "Go to Thunder Holy Land." If you go to the Holy Land of Wind, you will still follow Hufian's footsteps, but if you go to the Holy Land of Thunder, the two will get farther and farther away. In the current situation, the latter is obviously better. After all, the distance from Hufian is too close, and the target will be bigger. The artifact spaceship is replaced with one. Duan Lingtian greeted Tan Xiaoting and asked Tan Xiaoting to replace the artifact spaceship with another one. After all, the previous artifact spaceship had two obvious goals. Pingxiong Realm, close to the border between the Holy Land of Wind and the Holy Land of Thunder. It looks like a deserted mountain, but every once in a while a few figures can still be seen flying through the air, flying straight into the depths of the mountains. But their destination was a building complex deep in the mountains. Here, it is also the location of a supreme power. Of course, whether it is compared with the Tailing Zhong clan or the Bingdilun clan, this power is far inferior, because in this force there is only one supreme power. Moreover, it is still in existence that has only entered the Xian for a few thousand years, and its strength is also at the bottom of the Xian. This force, called the Mountain Pavilion, is a very low-key hidden world force. But today, in the depths of this Mountain Pavilion, far away from the building complex, inside a cave dwelling, there is a middle-aged man in a fiery red robe who suddenly opened his eyes. 3 North Netherfrost Fish Kings, 9 Bliss Flower Kings. And near me? While the middle-aged, red-robed man muttered to himself, the vicissitudes of his eyes at this moment could not help but show a bit of greed. If I can get these things, am a disciple of the Mountain Pavilion, maybe I'll be able to produce a few more good seedlings with the most powerful resources. However, since the other party has these treasures in their hands, I want to come. They are not ordinary people. It's still a long-term plan. Well, I'll go to the Lin family first and tell Brother Linyu about it. End of this chapter. Chapter 4483. In the Pingxiong realm, the clan standing at the top is the first-class existence of the Tianmen Morong family, and the number is very small. Looking at the entire Pingxiong realm, there are very few. Below, there are existences, such as the Tailing Zhong clan and the Bingdilun clan. There are more than a dozen existences at this level in the Pingxiong realm. There are even more Xian clans below, no less than dozens or hundreds, and the Lin clan is one of them. The Lin family's clan residence is adjacent to the border between the Wind Holy Land and the Thunder Holy Land. The distance from the mountain pavilion is not close, but it is definitely not far. As the only strong, middle-aged, red-robed, middle-aged man in the mountain pavilion, Feng Siyufeng went alone, and the whole person seemed to have turned into a flame, and it was like a fiery red meteor in the daytime piercing the sky, but it only took a quarter of an hour. It was already outside the clan station of the Lin clan. Although as a superpower, looking at the entire Lin family, only one superpower in the Lin family can compare, but he is still very polite to say hello outside the Lin family. The supreme powerhouse of the Lin family is not much stronger than him, but he and the other party have known each other for a long time. The two have known each other when they were not supreme powerhouses. They saved each other's life and forged a deep friendship during those years. Even if they have become superpowers now and rarely get together, it still does not affect the Tsing-yi between them. Brother Lin Yu. The middle-aged Hong Pao heard a message and entered the Lin family's residence. In the Lin family's residence, a figure Feng Su rushed out of the wind and greeted him directly. Yifan, you, and I haven't seen you for many years. I was thinking about going to the mountains recently. I met you in the pavilion, but I didn't expect you to come first. The person who came was a middle-aged man in a cyan robe with an elegant temperament. He was the ancestor of the Lin family, the pillar of the Lin family, Lin Yu. This time, since you are here, I must have a few drinks with you. Lin Yu smiled and said to the middle-aged man in red robe in front of him, that is, Lu Yifan, the supreme pavilion master of the Shanjian pavilion. And Lu Yifan, when he heard Lin Yes' words, shook his head and smiled. Brother Lin Yu, don't worry about drinking. I came to find you this time because I have an important matter. As soon as the words fell, while Lin Yes' smile subsided and his face was serious, Lu Yifan also told Lin Yu the news he had obtained in that void space. In his opinion, those things, if you want to eat them alone, you need to take too many risks. If we can join forces with Lin Yu, we can reduce many risks. Moreover, if he succeeds, it will also be a big favor for him to sell Lin Yu. 9 Bliss Flower Kings, 3 Northern Netherfrost Fish Kings. Hearing Lu Yifan's words, Lin Yes' eyes flickered. As far as I know, there are not many cow bliss in Pingxiong. There are only a few forces that breed cow bliss, and they are all stronger than our two. Power. As for the Birmingham Fish Emperor, it is even rarer. In the territory of Pingxiong, only the 2 major clans, including the Bingdilun clan, exist. Speaking of this, Lin Yu looked at Lu Yifan and said with a look of fear, Yifan, the person who carries these treasures is definitely not an ordinary person. First of all, being able to get those things is enough to show that he is unusual. Lu Yifan agreed with Lin Yes' analysis. I think so too. However, the person who spread the news obviously didn't want that person to feel better. According to his original words, behind the other party, there seems to be a near half-sacred existence, and it is uncertain whether the other party has such a spirit in his hand. Accumulate essence and blood, but there is a high probability of not having it. Speaking of this, Lu Yifan paused for a moment, and then said with his eyes shining, Brother Lin Yu, wealth and wealth are in danger. As long as you and I join forces, even if the other party is a deity who is close to a semi-sage, we will have great confidence to escape. Birthday. At that time, Lu Yifan and Lin Yu traveled together. They used the rules that each other was good at and cooperated with each other to develop a set of secret escape skills. You must know that at that time, one of them was the upper emperor, and the other was only the middle emperor. The other party is the median god. Since you and I stepped into Xi'an, we haven't teamed up to perform the space-time escape. The space-time escape method is the secret escape technique that the 2 of them jointly developed back then. The 2 matched the laws of time and space they were good at and vibrated the frequency to generate a special resonance of the laws, thus opening the way to escape. Speaking of which, being able to master the secret skill back then was more due to luck, because let alone 2 different laws, even if it is the same law, it is almost impossible to synchronize the frequency vibration. and they, just by chance, mastered the perfect frequency of joining forces. Although I don't know how strong you and I are now with the time-space escape method, but I think, let alone the existence of the semi-sacred, even in front of the semi-sage, you and I may not be able to retreat. The most important thing is the time and space escape method. We have used it a few times in total, and they are all used when the cultivation base is low. No one knows that it is our method. So, we don't have to worry about being targeted afterward. Lu Yifan said. Obviously, he had already thought about many things. Lin Yu heard this, even though he was still cautious in the depths of his eyes. There was obviously some movement between his face changes. Your plan is not bad. However, if you really want to make a move before you set off, you and I had better familiarize yourself with it, first to see if you can still grasp the frequency of the time-space escape method. Time and space escape is a secret escape technique created by the two of them together. The name is also taken by the two of them, thinking of joining hands to perform it again. Even Lin Ye's eyes have a little more anticipation. That's natural, Lu Yifan said with a smile. If you really want to drop the chain at a critical moment, and the other party has the spirit essence blood close to the semi-sacred existence to summon the other party's deity, you and I will both worry about our lives. At this moment, Duan Lingtian does not know. As the news spread in the void space, more and more supreme powers were staring at him. To be precise, he was eyeing the Bliss Flower King and Beaming Hand Fish King in his hands. There was a gust of wind in the nearby area. Pingxiong Realm? It's near our Thunder Holy Land. Moreover, it's still coming to the border between our Wind Holy Land and Thunder Holy Land. The treasures that come to your door don't be free. There seems to be a near half-sacred existence behind me. Huh. So what? There are even semi-sage powerhouses behind me. Humph. 9 Bliss Flower Kings. 3 Beaming Hand Fish Kings. I want them all. Wealth and wealth are in danger. Since the person who carries the treasure is nearby, if I don't take it, I'm afraid I won't be able to deal with God's arrangement. End of this chapter. Chapter 4484. An artifact spaceship is getting closer and closer to the Thunder Holy Land. In fact, at this time there are not dozens of spaceships close to the Thunder Holy Land, but there are 10 or 8. Put away the spaceship, and let's travel across mountains and rivers. Inside the artifact spaceship, Duan Lingtian, who changed his appearance and wore a loose black robe, suddenly opened his eyes and said to Tan Xiuting, who was controlling the artifact spaceship. At this time, Tan Xiuting looked like an old man wearing a gray robe. When he opened his mouth to answer, his voice also seemed extremely old. Are you being too careful, young master? Although Tan Xiuting thought so in his heart, he didn't say it. In his opinion, the reason why Zhongyu, the young patriarch of the Zhong clan in Tailing, bowed his head not only because he was not as strong as his young master, but also because he was afraid of the background behind his young master. Even him, he also felt that behind his young master, there are more than half saints in 9 out of 10. Even the Tailing Zhong clan and the Bingdi Lung clan bowed their heads. Looking at the territory of Pingxiong, those who dared to provoke their young masters were probably the few top-notch elites with semi-sage powers, including the Tianmen Morong family. Strong power. However, even those few forces will not risk offending a semi-sacred powerhouse for no reason or because of some small profits. Duan Lingtian didn't know the doubt in Tan Xiaotang's heart. If he knew, he would definitely smile bitterly in his heart. If there is a semi-sacred powerhouse behind him, he is naturally full of confidence. But the problem is, no. Now, the most powerful means of life-saving in his hands is the Lingyun essence blood given by the heavenly Chung, Sword Situ Lei, which can summon Situ Lei himself. However, even if Situ Lei was really called, so what? Situ Lei's strength, placed in the Sand Realm that day, was considered a top-notch powerhouse. It can be placed in the Pingxiong realm, but it can only rank in the third echelon at most. Not to mention the top forces in the Pingxiong realm like the Morong family of Tianmen. It is the Tailingzhong clan and the Bingdi clan that are no weaker than Sita Lei, and definitely no less than 3 or 5 people. Stronger than Sita Lei there are also. If the Tailingzhong clan and the Bingdi clan react and send strong people to test, I will definitely reveal my secret. Even if they don't come to test, I have taken so many good things from them, and they will definitely not give up. Duan Lingtian has come all the way to this day, relying not only on the luck and chance against the sky, but also on a cautious attitude. This mentality has kept him away from the crisis several times. Whoosh! Whoosh! Duan Lingtian took Tanxioting, and after putting away the spaceship, Yukong fell into a deep mountain and jungle, and quickly shuttled through it. Along the way, there were also some big monsters who didn't have long eyes, and they were all caught by Tanxioting one by one. Kill. Unhindered all the way. A few days after Duan Lingtian and Tanxioting were on their way, 2 figures suddenly appeared near the place where they had put away the artifact spaceship. There are 2 breaths that disappeared here. It should have disappeared for 3 or 2 days. Wearing a red robe, the Mountain Pavilion Supreme Powerhouse, Lu Yifan, said to the middle-aged Qing Pao beside him, "Brother Linyu, are you sure you can go back to this place and see what happened 3 or 2 days ago?" The middle-aged Qing Pao is the most powerful person in the Lin family, Linyu. The 2 of them, for the sake of the 3 North Netherfrost Fish Kings and the 9 Blissflower Kings, came out of the Lin family and followed them all the way to this point. During this period, Linyu also found some clues by virtue of his ability to backtrack the law of time. Of course, not all the strongest who are good at the law of time are as good at retracing time as Linyu. The reason why Linyu is good at it is because of an adventure in the past. Back then, before he broke through to become a superpower, he was fortunate enough to step into a place of return to the ruins, where he met the opportunity left by a Saint Powerhouse, and thus realized the secret method of retracing time. You must know that generally a superpower like him who has not yet comprehended the law of time to the realm of great perfection has no way to go back in time to people who are not of his own blood. Only the strong have this method. The reason why you can stick to me in advance is because of the chance in the past. Let me try. Although, Lin, you can perform the time retracing secret method when the time law has only reached the realm of small perfection, but compared with those who are strong in the great perfection, his time retracing secret method is greatly lacking. Although it can't be regarded as timely and sometimes not, it is extremely difficult to obtain a complete picture as long as the retrospective time is more than 1 day. In many cases, only some incomplete picture fragments can be captured. If there are too many fragments of the picture, it would be better if you piece it together. You can still see clearly. But if the painting is full of fragments and the pieces are incomplete, and it is not clear at all, it is useless. Whoa! Lin Yu stood in midair, his eyes suddenly condensed. His hands were spread out in front of him, and then the rolling divine power rose up like a giant wave, sweeping the world in a blink of an eye. In this terrifying divine power, mysterious auras swept out, and then a huge portrait appeared. After a closer look, the portrait actually moved. It is a floating shadow mirror. The mirror image of the floating shadow was turbulent. First, 2 figures appeared. It was Lin Yu and Lu Yiming, and then the 2 figures retreated and soon disappeared from the picture. In the picture, the scenery is still the same. It is still the sky above this mountain, and the wind and waves are calm. Occasionally, a few birds roared past, but no one was seen. In about a quarter of an hour, the mirror image of Fast Forward began to turbulently distorted, and at the same time Lin Ye's face, which was calm at the beginning, became a little ugly. Go back in time to a day ago. Seeing this scene, Lu Yifan on the side was staring at the mirror image in front of him, watching the time inside and going backwards, not letting go of any details. And the original complete mirror image, as time went back, began to become more violently turbulent and distorted. After another period of time, fragmented cracks appeared on the mirror image, and the cracks continued to spread, and the speed was getting faster and faster. It was 2 days ago. Lin Yu spoke now, and his voice became hoarse and labored, as if he was under great pressure. Broken. At the same time, under the eyes of Lu Yifan, when the time in the mirror image went back to 2 days ago, the fragmented image began to crack, and many fragments turned into powder. Just hold on. Lu Yifan suddenly spoke in a deep voice, just because he saw that there were 2 more figures in the originally empty mirror image. A black-robed youth. An old man in a gray robe. It's them. And that Lin Yes voice also became high at this time. And at the same time, as soon as he closed his hand, the scene of the retrospective time disappeared instantly, as if it had never existed. The 2 of them fell down here and walked. They should want to walk to the direction of Thunder Holy Land. Next, from here, we can search in a carpet-like manner in the direction of Thunder Holy Land. They should be found soon. Lu Yifan's face was a little excited. So many people were looking for it. But they were still the first to land. Don't be too happy. I don't know yet whether the other party has any powerful concealment methods in his hands, and he might be able to escape our tracking. If the semi-sacred powerhouse behind him values him very much, he probably has that means. Lin Yu said in a deep voice, "Let's go. Follow it." While Lu Yifan nodded, he couldn't wait to entertain Lin Yu and set off. The 2 of them followed Duan Lingshan's direction all the way. The distance is getting closer. After only about half a day, Lu Yifan and Lin Yu locked on 2 figures. It's them. It's the 2 people who appeared in the floating image just now. Brother Lin Yu, your worries are unnecessary. They don't have the semi-sacred means you said. Lu Yifan laughed. End of this chapter. Chapter 4485. Duan Lingtian took Tan Xiaoding. Although he was wearing a disguise, he still did not dare to be careless. "Master, are we entering the Thunder Holy Land like this?" Tan Xiaoding asked. Although it was not stressful for him to travel like this, it was a world of difference compared to enjoying in the artifact spaceship, and even he felt that his young master was a little unfounded. Since the 2 major clans guessed that there was an unprovocable existence behind their young master, they would definitely not come looking for trouble. Okay. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian felt an inexplicable heart palpitation. This feeling comes from the tree of life in the small world within the body. But the tree of life is currently sleeping and cultivating, so that he didn't say anything to him. As for the pure world divine water, he did not speak. It should be psychological pressure that made me feel this way. Duan Lingtian comforted himself in his heart. After all, this time, when he scoured the wool of the Tailingzhong clan and the Bingdilun clan, he was fake the tiger's might, making the other party mistakenly believe that there was a semi-sacred existence behind him. In fact, behind him, how can there be any semi-sacred powerhouse? Duan Lingtian continued to move forward with Tan Xiaoting, and the speed also accelerated a lot. However, just after crossing a precipitous mountain peak, the 2 extra figures in the void ahead made Duan Lingshan's complexion change drastically. He knew that his previous feeling was right. The vigilance derived from the tree of life has not gone wrong. The strongest. It's the strongest. Although the 2 figures in front of them are standing in the void in front of them, their whole body is covered with black robes. They can't see their true face, can't see their figure. Clearly, they're similar to the clothes on his body. Obviously, they're covering up identity. However, the pressure vaguely transmitted from the 2 of them still made him feel suffocated. The strongest. Here are the 2 supreme beings. Although the pressure on him is not as good as King Han, Sidhu Lei and others, but it is not far behind. They cover up their identities, and they are probably afraid of the semi-sacred powerhouses that may exist behind me. Duan Lingtian thought to himself, Of course, there's one thing that he can't understand. Since he is afraid of the semi-sacred powerhouse behind me, why do you dare to stop me so unscrupulously? Since the other party dares to do so, there must be some recourse. After thinking about it, Duan Lingtian also guessed this in his heart. Tan Xiuting, who was behind Duan Lingtian, also found two figures blocking the road when Duan Lingtian came back to his senses. After he came back to his senses, his face changed greatly. Of course, I have to say that Tan Xiaotang's current dress is very realistic, and he can't see the slightest camouflage. Sound transmission greeted Tan Xiuting. Duan Lingtian just glanced at the two figures in the air in front of him with a little dread, then took Tan Xiuting and walked forward on his own. However, just after they traveled not far, they found that an invisible giant attacked and pushed them back to their original places. For a while, Duan Lingtian also looked up at the two people in the air and slightly cupped his hands. Two seniors stopped our master and servant like this, but what should we do for you? Duan Lingshan's tone was polite, with a somewhat natural arrogance that seemed to come from his bones. He knows that in front of the strongest, it is too humble, and it is not necessarily a good thing. Maybe when someone else rises up, he will be trampled to death as an ant. Sometimes it is necessary to be appropriately strong, and there is a high probability that the opponent will be able to throw the rat. Of course, Duan Lingtian knew in his heart that these two people had a high probability of coming for himself. To be precise, he came for the Jade Emperor of the North Netherfrost and the Flower King of Bliss in his hands. I don't know if it's the Zhong family or the Lung family. The action is so fast. In just a few days, the supreme powerhouse has come over. Of course, Duan Lingtian also knew in his heart that even if the other party appeared here and even stared at him, he might not be able to confirm his identity. You are calm enough. The one on the left of the two men in black robes said in a calm tone with a bit of intimidation, "In front of me, you don't have to pretend. Abandon the artifact spaceship and walk here on foot. This is not what normal people do. Hand over your things, and I can let you live." The black-robed man seemed to confirm that Duan Lingtian was the one he was looking for. "Senior, I don't understand what you mean." Duan Lingtian frowned. The reason why we, the master and the servant, didn't walk in an artifact spaceship was entirely because I wanted to walk down to Earth, deeply sense the Earth, and understand the laws of the Earth system. The voice fell, and Duan Lingshan's body radiated gray light, which was the law of the Earth. Laugh! As Duan Lingtian showed the laws of the Earth element, another black-robed man sneered. "You are also a high-ranking after all, so the laws you master are only in this realm? You think we are so fooled." As the black-robed man fell, Duan Lingtian looked indifferent. The law of the Earth is naturally not a law that I am good at. What I am good at is the law of life. The voice fell. Duan Lingshan's body suddenly changed, and the majestic vitality spread out, covering a large area around. Suddenly there were a lot of dead trees and grass, all of which were still turbulent, and many plants broke out of the ground. Showing a vibrant scene is especially conspicuous in this barren mountain. Although Duan Lingshan's law of life is not as good as the law of space, it is not far from the law of time. No matter what, he also has a complete tree of life in his body. According to the divine tree of life, in the past, the person who gave birth to it once mastered the plane of the gods in the anti-god realm. You know, in the anti-god realm, those who can control the plane of the gods are placed in the anti-god realm. Among the most powerful people in the god realm, he is also the leader in the forefront. How can such a divine tree of life in the body be ordinary? In addition, according to Duan Lingshan's body, the tree of life, it was not born from the supreme power, but from another supreme power, but its upper-level master. His last master also got it by chance, and achieved the Xian realm with it. What? And as Duan Lingtian revealed the law of life, the bodies of the two men in black robes were obviously shaking slightly, and one of them was even more shocked. Is it wrong? This is also the inner thoughts of Lin Yu and Lu Yifan at this moment. According to the information they know, their target this time is a high-ranking who is good at the laws of space, close to the existence of an invincible high-ranking god, and his strength is said to be no weaker than that of the Tianmen Linghu family, who is known as the invincible high-ranking in the Pingxiong realm. Linghu Yundi, the first person under the honor. Humph! Lu Yifan snorted coldly. You're not the person we're looking for, but you're wasting our time. I'll take you on the road myself, and it's not a waste of your life in this world. When the voice fell, Lu Yifan shot. In an instant, the surrounding air suddenly stagnated, and then the surrounding space trembled and collapsed, and a terrifying force attacked Duan Lingtian and Tan Xiuting overwhelmingly. In an instant, the ground beneath the two of them was shattered and turned into ashes, forcing the two of them to rise into the air. Master! Tan Xiaotang's pupils shrank. The imminent approach of death made him exclaim subconsciously, his eyes filled with panic and despair. On the other hand, Duan Lingshan's expression changed drastically at this time. He never expected that, even if he concealed his identity, the other party would still kill him. However, after thinking about it, he also guessed what the other party was thinking. Rather kill the wrong, don't let it go. Among them, there is a high probability that there are still some temptations. Of course, even if it is a test, even if the other party is not quick to shoot now, he can feel that the other party really wants to kill him if he intends to give him time to react. Not to scare him. I didn't expect, so soon I will use the Lingyun blood essence given by the senior Situ. Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly in his heart. At the same time, a drop of blood emitting a terrifying aura appeared in his hand, which was then evaporated by his divine power. In an instant, the wind and thunder were turbulent, and a terrifying and powerful aura appeared. Boom! With the appearance of this terrifying aura, the power from Lu Yifan's oppression was also defeated in an instant. The long-lost figure appeared in front of Duan Lingtian again. It was the Chengtian sword Situ Lei that had not been seen for a long time after leaving the Tiansha realm in the past. The current Situ Lei gave Duan Lingtian the feeling that he had obviously changed a lot compared to when he was separated in the past. Although his appearance had not changed, his whole body gave off an aggressive feeling. Duan Lingtian knew that this was Situ Lei's swordsmanship improved again. End of this chapter. Chapter 4486. Situ Lei, as a mortal in the past, stood there with the sword energy all over his body, like in a sword. As soon as he appeared, the pressure from Lu Yifan was completely shattered. Xian deity. Regardless of whether it was Lu Yifan or Lin Yu, when Duan Lingtian took out the blood essence of Lingyun, his face changed, and he subconsciously thought that the other party called out a semi-sacred powerhouse. Especially after Situ Lei appeared, the display of the fierce swordsmanship made their hearts tremble even more. Really semi-sacred powerhouse? Li. Little friend, I didn't expect you and I to meet again. It's actually like this. After Chengxianjian Situ Lei appeared, he was just about to greet Duan Lingtian and called out Duan Lingshan's name Li Feng, but was interrupted by Duan Lingshan's voice transmission. Senior Situ, please don't reveal my identity. For a time, Situ Lei also spoke directly without naming Duan Lingtian, and neither Lu Yifan nor Lin Yu actually knew Duan Lingshan's real name and pseudonym, so he didn't feel anything when he heard Situ Lei call out the word Li. Senior, I can't help it either. Duan Lingtian looked at Situ Lei and said helplessly, if these two seniors didn't want to kill me, I wouldn't waste the spirit and blood of the seniors. This time, I will trouble the seniors. Duan Lingtian greeted Situ Lei here, while Tan Xiuting, who was following him next to him, saw Situ Lei's pupils shrink sharply, and his eyes were full of incredulity. Stewart, it turned out to be Situ Lei, in the Pingxiong realm, even if it is an existence close to the semi-sage, standing in front of Tan Xiuting. If Tan Xiuting does not know it, he will not be so rude. However, Situ Lei, in the Tiansha territory where Tan Shouting is active all the year round, is a top figure. Even Tan Shouting, who only met Situ Lei from a distance in the past. Qingtian Sword Situ Lei is one of the strongest Xians in Tiansha realm. Master, there is actually the spirit and blood of Senior Situ Lei's Lingyun. Senior Situ Lei, you actually value him so much? Tan Shouting was shocked. You must know that, as far as he knew, this young master of his family came from Wanja, not someone from a certain force who was born and raised in a place outside the realm. And he also heard his young master say that it was the first time to Tiansha realm, and before that there was no one he knew. This also shows that the young master of his family knew this Senior Situ Lei when he was in the Wang family in Langxiaking. At that time, he heard that Situ Lei was present at the Qingtian sword. Of course, although he accompanied Meng Yujing of the Meng family in Kanglan City, with his strength and identity, he was not qualified to take the initiative to seek a meeting with a big man like Cheng Tianjian. In Tiansha realm, Cheng Xianjian is a top-notch figure, too. At this time, Situ Lei's eyes also fell on Lu Yifan and Lin Yu. In the past, I also stayed in Pingxiong territory for a while. Even if I don't know or have seen the most powerful people in Pingxiong territory, basically have heard a lot. But I don't know who are the two. Just now, Situ Lei also learned from Duan Lingtian that the place where he is now is the Pingxiong realm. He is no stranger to the Pingxiong realm, although with his former strength in the Pingxiong realm, he can only rank in the 3rd echelon. But even so, among the top powerhouses in the Pingxiong realm, he is considered a powerhouse. But now, his swordsmanship has been refined again. Although he has not achieved a qualitative change, he has also improved a lot. In the 3rd echelon of the Pingxiong realm, he doesn't think there are many people who can be his opponents. Who are you? And Lu Yifan also spoke at this time and asked in a slightly hoarse tone. It was a completely different voice from when he spoke before, and it was obvious that he deliberately concealed his own voice, because he could see that the person in front of him was obviously not easy to mess with. The opponent, now his eyes are full of fierce fighting intent. Below, Tiansha realm, Qingtian Sword Situ Lei. Unlike Lu Yifan and Lin Yu, who hide their heads and hide their tails, in front of the two of them, Situ Lei told his origin and identity in an open and honest way. Hearing Situ Lei's self-introduction, Lu Yifan and Lin Yu glanced at it, and they were relieved to see each other on each other's faces. Cheng Xianjian's Situ Lei, although he is a top figure in the Tiansha realm, is actually average in the realm of Pingxiong. Although he is still stronger than any of them, the two of them joining forces are truly worthy of each other. It turned out to be the Qingtian sword. When Lu Yifan spoke again, his tone was obviously a little more polite. As for the identities of the two of us, it is insignificant because we are both newly promoted to the strongest. The voice fell, and before Situ Lei could speak, Lu Yifan asked curiously, I dare to ask Cheng Xianjian, who is the person who called you? Now, both Lu Yifan and Lin Yu feel that they have found the wrong person. The person they are eyeing this time is probably not the person they are looking for, because as far as they know, the person they are looking for has a semi-sacred powerhouse behind him. Even if there is no semi-sage, no matter how bad it is, there is an existence close to the semi-sacred. And Situ Lei, although stronger than any of them, still has a long way to go to be close to the existence of the semi-sage. Naturally, it is the younger generation that I value. Otherwise, I will give him my Lingyun essence and blood. Situ Lei's words were reminded by Duan Lingtian. If he were to say it himself, he would definitely say that Duan Lingtian is his little friend, who is also a teacher and a friend, not a junior. He is from the Tiansha realm. Lu Yifan asked again, wanting to confirm further. Yes. Situ Lei nodded. This is what Duan Lingtian asked him to say. Misunderstandings are all misunderstandings. After Lu Yifan was confirmed, he kept saying misunderstanding. We recognize the wrong person. Little friend, if I offended you just now, please forgive me. If you had said earlier that you were Cheng Xianjian's junior, we wouldn't have misunderstood that you were the one we were looking for." What Lu Yifan said behind was exactly what he said to Duan Lingtian. However, before Duan Lingtian could speak, Situ Lei snorted coldly. "My junior, I almost died in your hands. This is something you can take with you, in one sentence. Today, if you don't give an explanation, I don't want to compete with you." In Situ Lei's eyes, the fighting spirit rose, and the vast divine power on his body, like a galaxy, also oscillated. The fierce and unparalleled swordsmanship caused the surrounding space to oscillate and collapse. Countless gravels flew. The wind swept the clouds, and the sky and the earth changed color, just like the end of the day. But after Lu Yifan and Lin Yu looked at each other again, they didn't speak. However, in the next moment, the strength of the two turbulently rose together, and then they were skillfully merged together. And then, just as Situ Lei reacted, his face changed greatly, and the moment he got up, the figures of the two disappeared with a rapidly folded space, like a teleportation. Not teleportation. However, Situ Lei could clearly feel that it was not teleportation, because it was impossible to teleport within a certain range of the space he had just poised to influence. That's the means by which their powers are combined and combined. There are laws of space and laws of time. Their strength is definitely not as simple as just entering the Xeon. There is definitely a second-order strength, not as good as an ordinary second-order. Said, it is the second-order Xeon. Entering the Xeon for the first time is the first-order Xeon. At this time, the strength is at the bottom of the Xeon. And further, it is the second-order Xeon. Situ Lei could see that the two people who escaped in a flash were both the existences of the second-order Xeon, and they were the strong ones in the second-order Xeon, especially the means of escape between the two, which made him unable to react at all. Even if the gods, when I swept it out immediately, I couldn't find any traces, so I couldn't confirm the whereabouts of the other party at all. It's a good move. Even if it is the fourth-level Xeon, the existence that is close to the semi-sacred, it is impossible to disappear in front of my eyes without a trace. The escape method of these two people is not weaker than that of ordinary semi-sacred. Situ Lei was secretly shocked. After confirming that the two had left without a trace, Situ Lei looked at Duan Lingtian and asked in surprise, "Li Feng Xiaoyu, how did you get into such two existences?" Hearing this, Duan Lingtian suddenly smiled wryly. "Senior, I don't know about this matter. I was on my way here, and they appeared directly and intercepted me. They obviously recognized the wrong person. However, they planned to make the mistake and obliterate me. At this time, I can only ask you for help. Senior's life-saving grace today, I will never forget it." In front of Situ Lei, Duan Lingtian didn't tell the truth, after all. Wealth and silk move people's hearts. Who knows if Situ Lei can still keep calm after knowing that he has those good things in his hands, and he is not tempted by the things in his hands. From what you said, the two of them are a little overbearing. Situ Lei frowned, but he didn't doubt Duan Lingtian's words. After all, even the other two had said that they were mistaken. Moreover, he did not think that Duan Lingtian would take the initiative to provoke such two existences. That is the existence of the second-order Xeon. "Li Feng Xiaoyu, where are you going? They'll give you a ride?" Now that the deity is here, Situ Lei didn't plan to return to Tian Sha realm immediately. Thinking that he still had some doubts in the swordsmanship during this time, he couldn't help asking, "Will it be too troublesome, senior?" Although Duan Lingtian wished that Situ Lei would give him a ride in person, he was still polite. "No trouble." Situ Lei shook his head, and then his old face turned slightly red. "I have encountered some minor obstacles in Kendo recently. This time I will see you again, Xiaoyu Li Feng, and I would like to hear Xiaoyu Li Feng's opinion. After all, the rest of the way, we have to take the initiative to ask so Situ, Lei also took the initiative to say it at this time. When Duan Lingtian heard the words, he secretly smiled and smiled. I would like to serve the seniors. This junior is planning to go to the Thunder Holy Land, one of the 3 holy places. The senior will send me to the Thunder Holy Land and send me to the nearest holy city. At the same time, Tan Xiaoting, who was beside Duan Lingtian, suddenly lit up, unable to hide his surprise. With characters like Cheng Xianji and Situ Lei escorting him all the way, you can sit back and relax. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.